Welcome to another Hollywood Times Live.
Tonight, reporter Rachel Deal interviews nutritionist Haylie Pomroy.
Hi guys, this is Rachel Deal with the Hollywood Times. I'm here to talk with Haylie Pomroy. She is the best-selling author of the Fast Metabolism Diet. She is a celebrity nutritionist, and she has worked with some major stars, including Reese Witherspoon, Robert Downey Jr., Cher, and Jennifer Lopez. Haylie, it's so nice to see you here. Let's talk about what it's like to work with some major stars.
So, anybody that comes into my practice is, in my opinion, a major star and holds a very special place in my heart because they want, right? They want to feel healthy. They want to have energy. They want to produce, be high producers and productive individuals. And so I think with that desire, I want to work just as hard for them because it's all about fueling their bodies so that they can accomplish whatever they want. I always say the word diet means, did I eat today? And my client gets to finish the rest of that sentence. Maybe it's to have ripped abs, to have more energy, to not have joint pain. Whatever it is, the diet has to nourish their desire.
Totally. Yeah. Nutrition, so important, right? Yeah. So let's talk about what the first thing is that you assess when somebody walks through your door.
The first thing that I assess, so we do this whole process, and I call it like a self-assessment first. So I want to make sure that I meet them right where they're at. So we do this self-assessment, and then right away we jump into what we call a health wish list. And when you're thinking about food, you can dream really big with a health wish list. If it's to lose weight, if it's to sculpt and shape the body, if it's to have more energy, for me, I got into this industry because I have an autoimmune disorder. And my health wish list at the top of it was to not have to be tied to the medication that I was on prednisone and Imurin and Cellcept, and I just needed to be free of that because it was causing such a detriment to my health and well-being. So that's the first thing that I do is we self-assess, like where you at, and dream big, where do you want to be?
You've got to assess those plans, right? Yeah. So I have to say, Haylie, that your book is extremely easy to read and extremely relatable as well. When I cracked it open, I was amazed at the perfect metaphors that you use and the way you talk about the liver, the adrenal glands. You talk about animal science in a way, that's where you had your start. And I'm really not scientific at all. So it's amazing that you were able to explain those things to me in a way that I could understand.
That makes me very happy. So I'm dyslexic, and I'm pretty severely dyslexic. Yeah. And so the whole book was audioed. So I didn't write anything, I audioed everything. And so if it feels like I'm talking to you, it's because I was talking to you, right? Absolutely. But I think also being dyslexic, I had to find ways to take these complex concepts that I knew were affecting myself and my clients and try to create, real life relatable things that go with them. There's a lot to process in biochemistry and chemistry in the endocrine systems of the body. But really, they're all natural processes that you can see reflected in real life examples, right?
Wow. So the reason why it's so relatable too is because you're talking to the reader. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. And Haylie, what are the common misconceptions people have with the American diet?
I think the common misconception, the number one let me jump into two. Number one is that less is more, right? That if you can only not eat, you'll be successful in your endeavors. There is no species, you said I have an agriculture and animal science degree, which I do. There is no species where we refrain from food and consider that a successful diet, right? We actually diet in I have horses, I have dogs. Diet means how can we formulate something that's going to keep them as live as long as possible, longevity, and keep them at the top performance. Again, with racehorses, you want to think about their diet is, the best supplements, the best nutrients, whether you're looking at protein or complex carbohydrates, but it's how to optimize their bodies. And then in people, for some reason, diets like he who eats the less wins. So that is just crazy because we expect a lot out of ourselves. I think the other thing is when we're talking about nutrition or diet in general is that things that aren't even food are in the food aisles.
Yeah.
and they're considered food. So I consider food something that was once from the land, the sea, the sky, grew from the earth. It is not tartarazine. It is not some chemical, sunshine number 39 or whatever it is, blue 12. That is not food, and it has no place in our diet.
So many toxins, so much bad stuff in our ingredients these days. And that leads me to my next question. Let's talk about your philosophy. And I'm really interested in what you were saying about cleansing.
Right. So if you plan on, eating, breathing, drinking, sleeping every day of your life, which all of us have that plan, you're exposed to several toxins. And our body is this incredible, chemical toxic power plant. It takes in things through our breath, through our skin, cosmetics all day, every day. And we have to process those toxins and excrete them. If we don't excrete them, they can cause diseases. We see a lot associated with environmental diseases. More and more studies are showing, things, whether it's like Gulf War syndrome, multiple sclerosis, chronic fatigue syndrome, definitely a toxic overload. If we don't secrete them, they wreak havoc in the body.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the misconception is that the elimination of toxins is something that happens, again, when you don't do anything, when you go on these crazy fasting cleanses, or you do a juice cleanse, or you eliminate a whole, like complex carbohydrates. Cleansing is actually a very difficult process in the body. So for us in our community, because we're totally committed to nutrition, all of our cleanses are nutrient based. So we have a grocery list with strategic foods that help facilitate the liver to detoxify, right? We talk about liver and detoxification. Well, the liver also is the power plant that takes cholesterol and makes all our sex hormones, right? Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, everything that regulates blood sugar, inflammation, blood pressure. The liver does that. So we want to feed the liver in that process. We also use strategic micronutrient infused shakes, but our shakes are food-based, and I'm neurotic about them. So it has arugula, bioflavonoids, lemon bioflavonoids. It has pomegranate, tons of turmeric, tons of spirulina. It's as green as the Grinch. I've got one right here. But I think what's really important to know, and this cleanse became super, super popular. It was mentioned in People magazine by Jen when she is every day America's most beautiful woman.
Yeah.
However, it's popular because it evokes clinical results. And that's what's really important. I've been in the clinic all day, and we were just having this conversation with a client. It's got to feed the body. It's got to eat to treat. It's got to facilitate detoxification and elimination. And it has to nourish and nurture the adrenals so that you feel an abundance of energy when you're done. You should not strip the body ever.
What's the easiest way that people fall off the wagon?
I think, stress, right? I think that sometimes, people will say things like, it's poor planning or it's lack of commitment. We can't plan for everything that's going on. My goodness, that's now more evident than ever, right? So I think the thing that's most important is that you focus on infusing your body and putting power on your plate, right? So we use these really strategic food science-based recipes that give you the energy to have, the desire to even go over to the grocery store, because you just can't keep beating people up, in my opinion. And that's what I do not like about the diet industry, is this negative connotation that people just aren't doing enough for themselves. When in actuality, it takes nutrients to have the energy to do it. If you're feeling depressed, if you have anxiety, if you're feeling frustration, if you're quick to temper, I want to feed you. I don't want to strip the body. So this is what I would say. We have this incredible support community. And I did this because I feel like people need help. I want everybody to have a nutritionist. My clients fly me all over the world to help navigate all aspects of care, right? I want everybody to have those resources. So we have an online community where people can get tips, ideas. We run challenges. I always say everybody should have a date with me every single month. I run a 7-day, I run a 10-day. So support is critical. Non-judgment is essential.
And Haylie, I actually have a funny story relating it back to me. Last week, I was just thinking to myself, I need to go off the caffeine. It's making my heart race. It's making my head fuzzy. So I go off the caffeine. And a couple days later, I start to think, wow, I feel so much better. I think that's why I feel better, feel more relaxed. So I sit down literally immediately after that moment. Literally same moment that I thought that. Open up the book, and the first thing that I see is no caffeine. I couldn't believe it. It was perfect. So I'd love to talk to you about why caffeine is dangerous for people.
Right. So when you're in the healing process, you know, if you're feeling fatigued, if you're feeling foggy, if you're feeling fluffy, you know, you need to spend some time on healing the metabolism. And let's remember, the metabolism affects every aspect of our lives, whether it's the immune system or our joints or inflammation, and definitely mood, right? Mood and energy. And so there's like this test that we do in the natural health world and in integrative clinics. When I come in and work with docs, and we actually do what we call a caffeine function test. And so we want to see how successfully the liver is cleaving the hormones, right? To make all of these, the thyroid hormones and the estrogen hormones and the adrenal hormones bioactive. And we actually challenge the liver by adding caffeine. And so caffeine, yeah, isn't that terrible? Wow. So we actually use that as an evoked diagnostic to see how exhausted the body is or isn't. So when we're healing, I say, you know, let's leave it out. And the other thing that's really important to me is people that get a buzz or a jolt or energy from caffeine. You know, people tell me, I can't do that, I can't function. And I say, okay, that's the first thing on our health wish list, is to get you to have more energy, strength-based energy, than you have even on coffee. So we just put that on our wish list, and I say, you know, I'm gunning for it because it's not going to help us get you healed. However, I totally understand and respect that you need to be at that level of performance. And maybe that level of performance is, you know, having the energy to show up at your kid's soccer game. You know, there's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot of demands with people that are, you know, trying to navigate this whole new style of living, if I can say it gently that way.
It's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle, right? And real quick, do you want to name any foods that help you perk up?
Yeah, definitely. Some foods that help you perk up is, you know, that's why I put tons in the shake, is like spirulina is a great one.
Yeah.
Cinnamon's another really important one. I think arugula, and people say, wait, that's a salad. It's actually a gastro herb, and it works a lot on the gut microbiome. And remember, we have our gut is like our second brain, but it's the part of the brain that's not necessarily the thinking brain. It's the emotional brain, right? Our neurocognitive response to events. Again, that's why I say, you know, if you feel snappy, if you feel quick to temper, if you're not getting a deep sleep. So I use spirulina, turmeric, and arugula in our shakes because I want to heal that first and foremost, so that the body in general can feel more adaptive. When you talked about why do people fall off the wagon, they fall off the wagon because they hit a huge pothole. I mean, let's all be kinder to ourselves. They don't fall off the wagon by choice, right? They fall off the wagon because they get their butts bucked off the wagon. So we've got to try to smooth out the roadblocks, right? And we've also got to make them more resilient, so when they hit a bump, they don't even flinch. I've had clients that are on world tours where we have had disasters, you know, in Sydney, in Ecuador, you know, in Budapest. And I just go, we're good. We're good. You're so dialed in. You're so dialed in. You're so on peak. You're going to be good. No problem. And that's what I want for everybody.
Yes. And I feel like the positive attitude goes so far. You know, it's positive attitude. It's diet, it's healthy mindset. It all has to work cohesively together, right? And that's what makes your book so effective. You talk about how everything's interconnected, and I loved the book. I've recommended it to 2 different people already. And you want to talk about some more of your books here?
So, you know, the fast metabolism diet, we actually are giving away free hardcover copies of this right now. We've sold millions and millions of copies. Yay! It's translated in, I think, like 35 languages right now. It's a New York Times bestselling book. It was #1 on the New York Times bestselling book, and it beat out some ginormous authors like, you know, Languages of Love and What to Expect When You're Expecting. That was a big accomplishment. And I think it was because I talk about falling in love with food and putting power on your plate and the science behind how you can actually heal your metabolism. We just got the coolest letter from a woman that sent pictures and showed she was started on a diet at 8 years old. She showed me pictures of 8, 12, 18 of being on these restrictive diets when she was in a sorority. And she didn't find us until she was 60 years old. And, you know, her eyes hard. Her letter was very touching because she said, I just wish I would have known. I wish I would have known. I wish I would have had this in the past. So this does have a strategic 28-day plan. And if you go to my website, HayliePomroy.com/free book. Right now, they're giving away some free hard copies of this book. We received a very large donation of books, and we wanted to just pass that directly on to people, because we do get letters every day that tell us how life-changing this is. And especially right now with this crazy concept of fasting and keto, we've just got to keep nurturing and nourishing people. The other thing that I'm going to say is, we talked about the 10-day cleanse. We have this really cool workbook, and you can download it for free at the website. And if you go to, let's see, they said 10 days to health /Hollywood. They're actually also giving a discount on the cleanse if you guys want to try it. There's a ton of testimonials. People love it. It's very popular. It can totally, I always tell people, be prepared. It can totally change your life in a very short period of time. But if you're not sure and you want to check it out, you guys, right now, you can totally download this. It's got an amazing grocery list. If you do nothing else but make some of my yummy recipes for yourself, if you just use this grocery list and when you walk through the store, make your life a little bit easier, that would be a really cool concept to do. And one other thing is, if you're like myself, where you are dealing with something really significant in your health and wellness, I have ITP. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. I was actually going to vet school and was laying in the hospital. And I decided I've got to do something different with my life. Unfortunately, I'm an animal freak fanatic, love them. But I knew that I had to first figure out how to live. And so this really saved my life. It changed my life. I'm a huge advocate for supplements. I'm a huge advocate for natural foods, because it completely changed the trajectory that I was on, and obviously my career. And then I said, I've got to figure out how I can do this. And I just can't believe how many other people are struggling. So Food RX book, I've written a lot of books, but this one talks a lot about, autoimmune disorder, GI stress, fatigue, hormones, mood, cholesterol, diabetes. So this one helps you if you're like, just wanting to figure out, what labs should I run? I'm going to go see my doc. We have what's called a request for care. I want to help navigate people through that process of creating their dream team. And we just have a lot of resources available.
Yes, and you are a database of health and wellness and resources, right? So Haylie Pomroy, it has been such an amazing pleasure to talk to you about your book and to read it myself, The Fast Metabolism Diet. It is amazing. You will all love it. She is a New York Times bestselling author, celebrity nutritionist. Everybody needs to go consider, read it, taking the time to read this book, learning a healthier lifestyle, and really getting in shape.
Thanks for having me. And I hope to see you on our next challenge event. I'm there, and it's really fun. And we do DIY face masks. We got pantries together. It's just a really incredible, supportive place to get you back on track, to get you on track if you've never been there before. And I just think like a place where I can take my 25 plus years of clinical experience and just make that available. It just needs to be available.
And everything is available on HayliePomroy.com, The Fast Metabolism Diet. Haylie, you are awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Suggest you subscribe to this channel for the next Hollywood Times Live.